Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy, and thank you for tuning in today. So, I saw an interview last night, and it's with a fairly well known person in Lahaina. His name is Archie Kappa. He's kind of the spokesperson for the native people who have been living in Lahaina for generations. He's very motivated to keep the residents in Lahaina after the fire. So he's been very outspoken. I won't say outspoken, but he's been speaking with the media as a advocate to, bringing back the city the way it was. Not turning it into something that it's not. But I'll give you guys a little story. I went to Maui last month, so in the end of October, and I know a couple of people who know Archie, and I was really hoping to meet him, maybe get some time with him, and maybe have him go on the record about what he thought about what's going on in Lahaina. But we lost contact with him, and I did hear that, I want to be very honest, this is what I heard. I can't confirm this part, but I did hear that he was at the time on Oahu discussing a possible movie about this tragedy. And then I also, in this part, I can confirm that he was appointed to a 5-person panel by Mayor Bisson. So I can tell you exactly what that is. They call it the Lahaina advisory team, and it's made up of 5 people from Lahaina. So I believe this is in response to pressure put on the officials to get actual local people in Maui to be instrumental in the planning of the rebuilding of Lahaina. So before I did a video about Nani Medeiros, who was in charge of the redevelopment program, but she resigned. She was getting a lot of heat for what people were thinking was going to happen with the land. And so I feel like this is the government's response to that. But it sounds good on the surface that, there are people like Archie on this panel to make decisions, until I saw that interview last night. And not a lot of people saw this. It's only got like 400 views. So I'm going to play it for you guys, and then I'll comment a little bit on it. This panel was developed, or was put together, on the 22nd of September. So I think he's the most well-known figure of these 5 people. He's the only one that I had heard of. So they're working for Mayor Bisson.
Also new tonight, a new chapter is beginning to unfold in Lahaina, in which big projects are starting and leaders are realizing the future of their town requires real consultation. Our Jolani Martinez has more.
Nearly 7,000 Lahaina fire survivors are staying in hotels. Finding them long-term housing and restoring Maui's economy continues to be top priorities. And one community advocate is hoping everyone sticks together in this long and challenging journey to recovery.
If the people aren't here, this place isn't here.
Ninth-generation Lahaina resident Archie Kappa is planning a unity gathering for Lahaina in January. He invites all federal, state, and local leaders and residents from across the islands.
As we begin to face this marathon of challenges, it's a way to show support for our communities. It's a way to show that we all care. But more importantly, it's a way for the state of Hawaii to think about, how do we redirect this canoe?
As elected officials work together to help rebuild Lahaina, the renowned waterman who is on the mayor's Lahaina advisory team is making sure community input is being considered.
We've had opportunities to meet with federal government, with Washington, D.C. officials, and really it's been an eye-opener. Red Cross and FEMA. I cannot tell you how they have totally tried to be transparent so that we can begin to get an idea of what's really happening and communicate that out to our community. This community is resilient, and we're learning. just as much as everybody else is learning along the way. And these community meetings have become very helpful to this community.
Kalepa says the number one challenge is housing.
So, a couple things that I noticed that were different when I heard him speak was that, well, first of all, previous interviews, it was done in front of an audience, or it was done, there's one with Tulsi Gabbard. He was talking to her and someone else about his feelings. He had a lot of very heartfelt words for what he was hoping would happen. And I could tell he was very passionate about maintaining the cultural integrity of Lahaina. And, he's very aware of the cultural significance, the history that Lahaina has. It was the ancient capital of the Hawaiian kingdom for some time. But I don't think it's too hard to see that his demeanor in this most recent interview was different. He was by himself, just talking, giving a message to the camera, and it looked like he was reading. I want to preface this by saying I'm in no way trying to demean him or criticize him. These are just simply observations that I noticed that, this is the whole reason I wanted to make this video, as I had these observations, and it made me very sad to see him kind of lose his passion and lose his heart in the way he speaks about his hometown. And it does seem like he's he's reading something, getting talking points. Some of the words he used were very kind of like catchwords, like transparency, and talking about the different agencies and how they're transparent. I just feel like that was something told to him that he was supposed to say. And I just, think that he's been persuaded in some way to kind of change his opinions about things and kind of go along with what the government wants, what Mayor Bisson wants from him. And he technically works for the mayor now because he's now appointed to this advisory team. I couldn't figure out if it's a paid position, but I am assuming it is. I don't know if that's the reason why he's kind of changed his tune, but it does seem like as time goes on, a lot of people who were very passionate about fighting for maintaining, Lahaina the way it was, are kind of dropping off. I haven't heard from Tulsi Gabbard or BJ Penn or Senator Favela for some time. The only person I've seen in the media talk about this, the tragedy more recently, is Congressman Diamond Garcia. He did an interview on Fox. Anyhow, it just seems like as time goes on, there's less and less people standing up for, the victims of this tragedy and fighting against what the government is planning for this area. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about plans for a smart city. I don't know. There's a lot of information coming out that kind of makes me think that won't happen, and then there's things that are coming out that makes me think it will happen. But I really wanted to let as many people know about Archie, and I just wanted to point out, this shift in his perspective, and it makes me very sad, and I kind of sense that he's sad as well. But that's just my opinion and my observation. Another thing that came out recently is this new proposal that Mayor Bisson is trying to get approved, and that is to get people who own short-term rentals to use them as long-term rentals to house the people who lost their home in the fire. Now, that does sound like a good idea, but I'll give you my opinion as someone who has a short-term rental. So what he's doing to, I guess, persuade people to do this, they're giving these people a cut on their property tax. So Maui has a very high property tax. It's $11.85 per $1,000 that your house is worth. So if it's worth $1 million, that's $11,850 you'll owe every year. Now he is going to give a break. So if next year you do rent this your rental to do a long-term rental to someone who needs housing, you'll receive a reduction in your property tax of $5,925. So yeah, that's I think about half. Yeah, that's half of what you would normally pay. And if you apply before the 30th of January of 2024, you'll get the full amount of property taxes waived or reimbursed, but you won't owe taxes if you agree to this sooner than later. And that's not that much time. It's really just about 2 months that you would have to sign up for this program. About a month ago, no, actually it was a couple months ago, I was in Maui. I heard that Mayor Bisson was the state was going to pay people $375 a month to take in someone that needed housing from the fire, up to $1,500 a month. And just my opinion, that's not a lot of money, not in Maui. You know, when you take someone in, you're going to have to pay more in utilities, and in Hawaii, those things are very, very expensive. Power is very expensive in Hawaii. It always has been. Also, if these people are, if they have lost everything, you'll probably end up, helping them, with food and things like that, transportation possibly. So it is asking a lot for $375 per person. So I don't think a lot of people went for that. It just financially doesn't make sense. And I don't think a lot of people could afford to do that. And I personally wouldn't. I would find that hard to do as well. So I think this is his second attempt to get property owners to take in people who need housing, because right now they're jumping around from hotel to hotel, but I know the hotels are trying to end that program. So this is, I guess, the second proposal, and he's trying to get this approved on December 5th. There's a meeting, a county council meeting, that this bill will be proposed and I think voted on probably around that time. So that's not a lot of time at all. That's in about a week. So if you are in Maui and you want to go to this meeting, it's December 5th. And so another thing that was put out, and the details were not, I couldn't find the details of this, but if you don't allow your short-term rental to be a long-term rental, you're going to get penalized with more taxes. And now that is what I really have a problem with, because some people can't afford to pay more taxes on a short-term rental. A lot of times people will rent out a property or part of their property to pay their property tax, to pay for the maintenance. And, right now Maui is not getting a whole lot of visitors, but, they are doing some business. I did stay at a couple of short-term rentals, but if you are going to not only not have as many short-term renters, but also get a higher tax bill, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's already pretty high. If you can't afford that, you're almost going to be forced to rent it long-term. Now, a lot of reasons why you won't want to rent a property long-term. You might want to use that property for personal reasons. You might have friends and family that stay there while they're visiting. Another issue that I know I am conscious of is the wear and tear and the maintenance of the property. When you rent it long term, you might get a tenant who is not respectful of the property. Maybe they're very loud, maybe they're just not good tenants. And when they're a long-term tenant, there's very little you can do if they're causing problems. And I think especially in this situation, having someone evicted that's causing a lot of problems is not, I don't think, going to be an option unless it's extremely bad. But there are a lot of risks that a homeowner takes when they take a tenant in versus a short-term renter. So that's from my personal experience, and I think that opinion is shared amongst a lot of other people who do short-term rentals. So I just think it's a desperate attempt to house people who need housing without using the hotels. So, maybe for some people this will be a good thing. Something that is not addressed in this bill is are the people that are renting, how are they going to pay for this place? And how much are they going to get in aid? Because if they've lost everything, they might not even have their job anymore. Is the state going to pay a fair market rate? I don't think they will, because I know rents in Maui are very high, as it is in many parts of the country. So that was not addressed. Are they going to have to, is the homeowner going to get a significantly less amount than what they would normally be able to rent that place out? I don't know, but that is something that you would want to consider if you're thinking of doing this. And I did want to bring it up because if this does apply to you and you want to take advantage of it, you would need to make this decision pretty fast. I mean, the meeting's in a week. They just announced this yesterday, and the ability, or if you want to get all of your property tax back, you need to sign up for it by January 30th. That's not a lot of time to make these decisions. Not only that, if you have a short-term rental, you might already have bookings, for early next year. And so, there's a lot of things you need to consider if you're going to do this. So I personally don't like, I like that they're giving this option to get your taxes back if you do this. The part that I really have a problem with is that you're going to get penalized if you don't. I do think, there are a lot of short-term rentals in Maui, and it says here 12,000 to 14,000 short-term rentals are in Maui. So this is going to affect a lot of people, and I don't think a lot of people know about this. So I really wanted to make this video and get it out as soon as possible. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I apologize. I took some time off this week just to rest and just to, take care of myself a little. So thank you for your patience. But I did want to make sure I got this out, sooner than later. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.